So here's a terrifying story about how the machines are already coming for all the jobs. This is from Time in the AP. This robot will brew your coffee and serve you for $3. Yeah, we're fucked. So Japan has a new cafe where customers can enjoy coffee that's brewed and served by a robot barista. The robot is named Sawyer. That's cute. He debuted this week at Henna Cafe, which is in downtown Tokyo. And the shop's name means strange cafe in Japanese. So they say the machine is, number one, this point should be obvious, more efficient than a human being. But then they also say that the machine entertains the customers in the meantime as they make the coffee. So again, this is why it's humans can't compete, because the robots cost less and they just do a better job. I mean, we're going to get to the point where, whatever, you go to a movie and a robot comes out and blows you while you're watching the movie. We're getting to, a sci-fi movie type future. I mean, we're already in it in many ways. There's old commercials from the 1980s where they show, they are teasing the fact that Skype is going to exist at a certain point. That was unheard of. Nobody could conceive of that in the 1980s. But they were running commercials this is what the future is like. You're going to be able to talk to somebody in real time on video. And everybody's like, what? No, stop it. And I don't know, was Skype the example? I don't remember if it was Skype, but whatever. You get the point. There was sci-fi type predictions that were made. But now, if you look at the predictions of the future, we're going down the road where it's everybody who has a job is in trouble. I mean, Amazon and all the companies that are just casually we're done with delivery guys, we're going to move to drones. That's going to be a thing at some point. And if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I read somewhere that the number one job in the U.S. is truck driver. So you're going to rip out the biggest industry in the country so that you could save money and have machines do the work for people. Okay, but then you're setting up a problem in the long run. And the problem is, what happens when people have no money and no hope? Because if you make it so that we have the continued move towards AI taking over all the jobs, and you let us go down this track unfettered, no regulation, no stop to plan this out and think about it, and what are the consequences of it, and how can we structure our economy now differently? If you do that, well, what happens is people continue to lose their jobs, the unemployment rate ticks up, people don't have any money, those people with no money are continually disenfranchised and they have no power, they have no say over the direction their lives are going in, and you have wealth and income inequality continue to get pushed in the wrong direction, and you basically we already have a system where the elites kind of control everything, but it would be even worse. So you have the top 6 richest people in the world have more wealth than the bottom 3.5 billion. 6 people have more than 50% of the world. What? Well, what happens when that fact becomes 6 people have more than 90% of the world? Because among many things, there's no need for workers. We just have, everything is automated. Well, then what? Well, then you've set up a situation where you actually might have giant revolutions everywhere. So, I mean, this is something Stephen Hawking has spoken about, and he said, I like his point. He said, we're at a crossroads. We can go the path of continuing what we're doing now, which is income and wealth inequality, letting a small number of people have all the wealth and the power in our respective countries. Or we can understand that it's inevitable that we're going to go down this path of AI taking over everything and robots taking over all these jobs. But you can do that and share the wealth. I know redistribution is tarred as oh, how dare you, what a crazy far-left idea. It's crazy not to do redistribution when you have the richest 6 people more than 3.5 billion people. If you're not in favor of redistribution, I think you're crazy. How about that? So that's the point he makes is, Stephen Hawking says, well, you assign various robots to each individual person and say, these are the robots that do your job for you. And then we can sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor that are not, that we didn't actually do. It's our robots who did the work, and then we reap the benefits. Because the robot doesn't need the benefit, it's inanimate. So that's what Stephen Hawking says. We're going to have to do that. But if we don't do that, man, there's going to be a readjustment period that's beyond our comprehension. Because we already know, like, we've seen this happen with different industries throughout time. When the fucking Morse code industry was replaced with the telephone, it's like, okay, well, we got by that because it was a big industry. It wasn't the biggest industry. And, like, it's little pockets of the economy and industries that go through these transitionary periods. But what happens when it's like the entire economy all at once? It's like we all lose our jobs and robots take everybody's jobs, and it all happens within like a 15-year period. Well, then it's like, whoa, that's a different thing completely, and you need to put the brakes on the car somehow, or you need to sit down and plan this out in a way that you don't just kind of say, fuck it, yeah, let's more wealth and income inequality, more stratification, take away whatever little money and power the bottom 90% have in the first place. That can have devastating consequences. So, but we're at the beginning of it. I mean, look, a robot now doing, like, your coffee, making your coffee, where there's no barista. So no, human contact. We've seen it with cashiers, of course. That was like one of the first ones to go. Like I said, we're slowly moving away from delivery drivers. There's a tipping point where people are like, well, almost none of us have jobs anymore, so what now? But again, the people at the top of society act like this is a non-issue because to them it is a non-issue, at least now. Because to them they go, what do you mean? I get richer and I don't have to hire as many people. Isn't that wonderful? That's how they think about it. Imagine being the head of a giant company that employs 5,000 people. And then you're like, no, I'm now going to get rid of them. I'm going to have like 300 employees instead of 5,000. And that's great for me because I just made a shitload more money. Sure, I screwed over thousands of people, but hey, whatevs, man. It is what it is. Well, that's only a non-issue to them until they feel like, oh shit, the entire framework of society might collapse under the weight of our greed. So I hope we address this in a serious way. The trends are right now we won't do it, and there's going to be an ugly, ugly readjustment period.